All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is Russell DiBird, and you're listening to the Russell DiBird Show and High Noon Radio. And welcome. This is episode number 8 in the new series of radio shows that I've begun. And regrettably, something happened with the YouTube, so we are not going out live over YouTube today. We are hopefully going out over the radio at ferlive.com. So let's double check that real quick and make sure we're going out. And I've got a great show for you for you today. Many exciting things. Oh goodness. So I am just not having very good luck today with my internet. So, all right. This is, let's see, today is the 19th of August. And again, this is episode number 8 of my series. And I, as usual, like to start off by going over with you my, really kind of my, I need to come up with a name or a title for this. It's my motto, my logo, my slogan, my patented, no, not my patented, certainly not, my unique perspective on the fact that our spirit has been given life. Our spirit is is alive. And so we have to ask, who is the parent of your spirit? Because the little scenario that I always draw is that anything that is not alive was made. And like this pen that I'm holding in my hand, it was made, and so it's not alive. But over on the other side of the story, on the other side of the coin, the anything that is alive, it has been given birth to. I don't think you can think of any exceptions to that. If you can, please let me know. But my understanding is that if something is alive, then it has a parent. So we look at the human being and we see two things I see that are alive. Number one is the body, which was given life to by your mother and father coming together, seed and egg, right? Hold on. The kitty wanted in. So anyways. So in the human being, there's obviously two things that are alive. That would be the body, which came from your mom and dad coming together, and check your meters. All right. So if the I don't even know what to change at this point. Drop the highs. Let's see, maybe down that way, down there, down there. All right. That is, oh, I know, I'm not multitasking very well. So and so I look at the human spirit and I see life. And so you have to ask yourself, well, according to the rule, if it has life, it was given birth. And so we have to ask ourselves, who gave birth to your spirit? Because if your spirit's alive, because, once we die, then what do they say? Then, oh, that's just a body. He's not there anymore. He's gone, right? And so, there we go. Much better. The fact is that that the life that's in us, the spirit being that's in us, it was given birth to. Jesus, in fact, said in John 3:6, he said that flesh gives birth to flesh, and spirit gives birth to spirit. And so when God, and then in John 4:26, he said that God is spirit, or God is a spirit. So if God's a spirit, and he is going to reproduce himself, how does he reproduce? Well, he said, flesh gives birth to flesh, and spirit gives birth to spirit. And so another little factoid is that the very first Christian document that we have, the Apostles' Creed, says that at one time the spirit known as Jesus did not exist. That in fact it was only his Father that was here. And his Father, in the fullness of time, decided to reproduce. And so what did he reproduce? Spirit babies. And he had one spirit anyways, one spirit baby, and that was his only begotten Jesus. So Jesus came out of him, he was begotten by his Father. And so now there's two spirits, Father and Son. Now, then we look in Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image. To me, that is the Father and the Son standing there and saying, basically, Son, you are now old enough to begin to reproduce. So it's going to become grandfather and father and a new son. So Jesus reproduces himself, and what does he reproduce the very first time right out of the gate? Well, the Bible couldn't be any more clear about Abraham being we look at the patriarchs as a representation of what happened in heaven, and basically we see Abraham had Isaac, and Isaac had Esau and Jacob. So my understanding is that everybody in the Bible gets to have a name, not just a title. So God the Father, well, that's just a title. His name, in my understanding, would be Melchizedek, and then he gave birth to Jesus, and then and so in heavenly correlation, so to speak, Abraham would represent Melchizedek, and Isaac, the son, was represented by Jesus. Then we saw that Isaac, his first try at having babies was what? Twin sons. And we know they were Esau and Jacob. Well, those two refer to the firstborn of Jesus as a spirit, as a reproducing spirit. And the first spirits that he had were named Lucifer and Michael. Lucifer and Michael are twins, but Lucifer was the firstborn. And just like Esau, he blew it. He blew the, what's it called? The inheritance. He lost the inheritance. And so now so Jesus continued to have a whole bunch more babies. And my understanding is that one of the spirits that he gave birth to wound up here in my chest, burning at 98.6 degrees. My spirit was given birth to by Jesus. So we have to, and I'm under the understanding that he gave birth to your spirit also. I don't know if you acknowledge or recognize that yet, but that is the fact of the matter. That your spirit was given birth to, that he spent a long time gestating you and thinking about you and just hoping and just knowing that, hoping that you would grow up to be his very best, right? To his full stature and beyond. And so Michael. So we were given birth to, and somewhere along the road, we were given a choice. Hey, do you want to follow your brother Michael, or do you want to follow your brother Lucifer? And all of us with these bodies right now, guess which one we decided to go after? That would be Lucifer. We chose Lucifer. We are the ones that are to blame for this little quagmire we find ourselves in of living life, experiencing the pain, the frustration, the sadness, all the different emotions that we go through. Well, that's we brought it on ourselves. So the idea of blaming Eve and Adam and all that stuff, not so much. Pretty much time for you to grow up, get over that little fairy tale, and take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for what you did. You're the one that turned your back on your father. You're the one that said, no, I'd rather go with this guy over here. So that's the sad truth. So in where we find ourselves today is in total and massive confusion about this thing called the Trinity. The Trinity. Who is the Trinity? Well, it's just not that hard to figure out now, is it? Father had Son, and then Son grew up, and what did he do? He had sons. And then what did that son do? Same. And so we just see the cycle of life. So it just takes all the mystery. Oh my gosh, don't our religious leaders just love to just drip their, it's a mystery. Oh my gosh, people, I'm frustrated over what I heard this weekend. I was tuned into a YouTube channel, popular channel. I don't know if it's cool to talk about other people or bring them out. Just say, hey man, I love you as a brother, but come on. Oh my goodness. So these guys are going on and on about they're Christian Zionists. It's Christians, and they're super popular. It's called Now You See TV. These guys right out of the heartland of America. I mean, And these guys, he's trying to explain to me, explain to the audience here, what this Christian Zionism is and how Kabbalah is wonderful and how the Talmud is wonderful, and that it's just another one of God's wonderful teachings along with the Bible, and that and how that whole nation that we send our boys to fight and die for, that Palestine stolen and renamed it Isreal, which is just amazing once you look into what a scam that. Let me start. Let me start by saying, I don't know if anybody realizes this, but the land that Jesus lived in, Jerusalem, do you know what the name of the country was? It was not Israel, folks. They were at war with Israel. Jesus lived in, he came and visited and got murdered in Jerusalem, which was in Judea. It was Judea, ladies and gentlemen. So we fast forward to 1948, and all of a sudden the Jewish people say, we want a homeland. And obviously your homeland would be named after your tribe. And your tribe is the one of the 12 named Judah. You were the tribe that to me was the psychopath or the sociopath. The one that decided to steal all the land from all the brothers. The one that decided to sell Joseph into slavery. Oh, that Judah. Right. The Judah that the Jewish is named after. Yes, you look and it was Judah that sold his brother. Oh yeah, it was Judah that did all the really nasty, crummy things. He was born in a very unceremonious place, and he was buried out in the desert. He was just a not a good guy. To me, he seemed like he was the psychopath of the 12 brothers, because the way that I look at it, what they say about, between 1 and 3 people out of 100 are born just full on psychopathic, just full on, just I'll kill you and it wouldn't bother me. And then anywhere from about 5 to 7% are born sociopathic, meaning I don't mind hurting you, I don't mind stealing from you, I don't really care what's going on with you, just as long as I get what I want, right? And they really have no conscience, no feelings. And so they're able to just, basically they are, so that 1 to 3%, and then the 5 to 7% comes anywhere from about 7 to 10%. 7 to 10% of the population. That's almost 1 out of 10 people that you meet is either a sociopath or a full-blown psychopath. Then you look and you see what kind of personality graduates up to upper levels. Harvard, Yale, Skull and Bones, commanders and chiefs of industry. They fall into one of those 2 categories very oftentimes. The nice guys, the other 90%, they don't have that cutthroat nature that the psychopath does and the sociopath. And so consequently, oftentimes it is these sickos that rise up and become our leaders. Just naturally, that's the way that circuit was designed. And so that became the dominant circuit of the sons of Jacob. Now, Jacob had his name changed. Jesus loved to just change everybody's name. He changed his own name. He changed all the disciples' names. And back then, he used to change people's names too. And so, what got me on that? Anyways, he had, there we go. Jacob, the son of Isaac, was renamed Jacob. Jacob was renamed Isreal. There we go, Isreal. And then he proceeded to have 12 sons. And so he had Benjamin, and he had Ephraim, and he had Naphtali, all those, right? Well, so let's think about the son that he gave his promise to. His promise came down through Abraham. I'm studying all this up right now and getting the real lowdown on all of it, and kind of teaching you as I'm learning myself. So I may say some things that are wrong, and if I do, I will I'll retract it, right? Because I am not a know-it-all. I don't know it all. I'm learning every single day. I read voraciously and learn, and even watch some of these goofy YouTube channels where these people they make excuses. They say, somehow God sees past all of the evil things that those people do. They curse Jesus, they hate him, they spread pornography, they tie up all of our money with the usury. They, they're into immortal life. So what do? Vampirism is now the big thing. And what does vampirism do? That is drinking human blood. Yes. Do you know how many times the Bible says not to drink the blood? I looked the other day. It seemed like it was about 20-something. Right. 20. Do you know how many times it says don't charge usury? Quite a few. How about the idea of pornography and prostitution and just demeaning women and belittling them and using them and turning it all into money and making men all tweaked and But you know what they say? You know what they say? They say, but since they're Jewish, then God has got a special place in his eye for them. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to me how they get away with it. But all we know is all we got to do is just worship Isreal, and everything will be all right. Until we hurry up and go to heaven, as in die, which is what they want you to do. I can't tell you how twisted that is, this whole scenario. Number one, so let me see if I get this right. For some reason, we're going to call the dad by one of the sons' names, right? One of the sons was named Judah, and his name was kind of switched, and he was and is the father of the Jewish people. If you claim to be Jewish, then guess who your father, direct lineage, is? Correct. That would be Judah. Judah, the son of Isaac, of Jacob. I'm sorry, Jacob. And so, what about the other 11? So basically, the promise was given to Abraham, that Abraham, through your seed, that your seed would cover the whole world, and your seed would bless the entire world, and your seed would grow fruitful and multiply. And basically, all the things that the Jewish people currently are not. They are not fruitful. They are less than 0.2% of the population of the earth. They do not spread happiness to other people. Basically, they just kind of, they're incestual. They do their own, they mate with each other. So they're kind of like, the heads of, many, they're famous for their schizophrenia, basically. When you inbreed, guess what you get? You get mental disease. And when you do specifically what the Bible tells you not to do, but rather you do what the Bible tells you specifically not to do, which is not to use any other books. Not to use any other books as your authority, right? Well, unfortunately, our Jewish friends all use a different book. No, not all. A large number of them. So I'll guard my words here. And I'll just say a large number of the Jewish people are much more into the Talmud than the Torah. And in my mind, they make a critical mistake in doing that, because let's see, I think they do you have any idea what the Talmud is? Oh my goodness. It is specifically what Jesus talked about, the teachings of men. It's all this compiled traditions of these nasty old men. and these perverted men who like to suck the blood of newborn children's penises, and having sex with little girls and little boys is nothing. They just say it's nothing if you do it before they're like 3 years old. It's nothing. It's like, taking a shower. Just have sex with a little 3-year-old. Oh, my Lord. Oh, dear Lord Jesus. I mean, all I can do is just call out that, oh, my gosh. What's his name? John? That Now You See TV. And you know what? I shouldn't just pick on them, but I just happen to see their thing, and I know they're very popular right now. But I know that it's taught from every pulpit in America that's into this Zion, this church Zion, Christian Zionism, they call it. If anybody ever uses the term Judeo-Christian ethic, I want to throw up. The two have about as much in common as oil and vinegar, as air and water. There's no relationship whatsoever. Oh my goodness. It's just shocking how they can take the Lord's words and his battles with the Pharisees. That's what these people are. They're Pharisees. And these teachers, these Jewish Pharisee teachers, and we're all told we're supposed to just bow down to them? That, yeah, you're supposed to have Jesus, you're supposed to do that thing, but, we've got to honor the Jews. Really? Do you know that all those promises that they use to bait and switch you, that every one of those promises basically were made towards Benjamin, the other brother, the saintly brother, the brother that did God's will, not the brother that specifically didn't do God's will. How can you people be so insanely beguiled and completely turned around? Didn't Paul say, who fooled you into thinking this? Oh my gosh. You give them a free pass to do whatever in the heck they want. Oh yeah, mint our money and steal most of it and charge us interest and pollute our food, pollute our skies, pollute our air, our water. Our food is just disgusting. Just disgusting. What, the GMOs, the genetically modified? Folks, that is the reason why Jesus will be coming back, is because we're polluting the human body, we're polluting the crops and the plants of the earth. He made everything pure and wholesome to follow after its own kind. And yet man is tweaking it in every way possible. And specifically, it's that attitude of the Pharisees that Jesus warned us so strongly against. Their lying and their hypocrisy. Then what does Luke and Matthew say? Woe to you, Pharisees, you modern day Pharisees. He's talking to the Christian Pharisees. He says, you go over land and sea to get one convert. And once you get that convert, then you make him twice the son of the devil that you are. Why? Because you took away his innocence about life and nature. At least he had that going for him. And what do you come and trade it for? A bunch of man-made, man-invented lies. Lies that do nothing but confuse men. The lies that just, when I hear this Christian Zionism stuff about, we've just got to give Israel a pass. Really? Which one of his sons? Guess what? There's 12 sons. One of them wound up over in England. One of his sons wound in Germany. One of his sons wound up in Italy. One of his sons wound up in France. So which one of his sons, right? Oh, see, you people have got this chosen, the chosen people of God, that got hijacked. You have got your Bible verses 1,000% incorrect. And I hereby challenge anybody to a debate on this very topic. Who are the chosen people? Which of Israel's offspring are the chosen people? Because you see, what happened was the psychopath son, the son that basically, he's got the pointy elbows, and basically, I'm just gonna kick all my brothers, to the side, and basically just dominate, just totally, just dominate and obliterate his brothers. And basically, it was him and his nasty, just disposition that settled the whole rest of the world. Because all of a sudden, the other brothers looked around and said, "Hey, man, we're not going to stay here in this little, this little pit, with this guy. We're going to go conquer the rest of the world." So Dan went and founded, Sardinia, and just our history is so fascinating, so wonderful to look into from a truthful perspective. And basically, to find any sort of truthful perspective in your history, you have to go back to books that were published about 100 years ago. My library is quickly filling up with books that were published before 1920. Actually, before 1900. Before any of the world wars. Before any of the Luciferian plan, the Freemasonic plan, as laid out by their head Grand Master Pike, Albert Pike, laid that whole plan out in 1871. How, we're going to instigate 3 world wars next century, and we're going to do all this horrible stuff. So I really want to find writings that were before that influence, so that you can find some degree of truth. Because otherwise, folks, it's completely buried, twisted, and tweaked. And so this idea of the chosen people being the offspring of Judah could not be any more wrong. That number one, the kingdom that Jesus came to publish, to found, to teach, was spiritual. He came to teach a spiritual Israel, a spiritual redemption, not a redemption by the sword. That's the other thing, too. These descendants of Judah have decided that they have found somewhere, somehow, in the Torah, which they only believe in the Torah when it comes to a couple little key phrases, key constraints. And their number one key constraint is that they see it as a land deed. That the Torah is a land grant to them. And basically the way they see it, they have been deeded all of the land between the Tigris and the Euphrates. Yeah. Basically the entire area that we call the whole Middle East. And then some. The Tigris to the Euphrates. When you look on the flag of the country over there, it's got those 2 blue stripes. You know what those stripes, if you look in their nomenclature, what do those two stripes represent? That would be those two rivers, the Tigris, and I think I've got that right, Tigris and Euphrates. It leaves this big monster swath of land in between that they're in right now, Palestine and them, Lebanon and all those ones that are in their sights to be taken over. What's the big one now that we're at war? Syria. Oh yeah, Syria's in there. Oh yeah. That's part of the land that they want. And so they want us to send our kids, our American kids, that were mostly from the tribe of everybody else. Benjamin and Dan and Asher and all those guys. We're mostly from those other tribes, the Americans. But the tribe of Judah has got us all convinced we need to go and fight their war. Because they think that the Bible is the Torah is a land deed. And it's their land. And so they want us, the other tribe members, to come over and do their dirty work, so to speak. Well, they're doing a darn good job of it because they've got most of the Christians in the United States following right along, following in lockstep as far as just, hey, if you call yourself one of those, an offspring of Judah, then you get a free pass to do anything you want. And especially anything you want to us. Anything to us Christians. It doesn't matter. You can overcharge us. You can demand our blood, our own flesh and blood. You can demand money for poisoning us. And, it's just a real trick that you guys have got going on here that you've, got everybody believing that you're really it. And then the Christians bicker over little bitty Christian things, right? Just, little bitty, fighting over here's my favorite. Who is saved? Are you saved? Once you've been saved, can you lose your salvation? And once saved, forever saved. And oh my goodness, there's another. It's just nothing but bait and switch over and over and over again. Jesus said that he, the sower of the good seed, came and sowed his true words. And that while everyone was asleep, the enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat. And so when they woke up, boom, the field was full of weeds. So I have to ask you, every single blade of wheat that the Master laid out there for us, every blade of it, can you imagine even one blade of wheat that did not have a whole field of weeds planted around that one understanding of wheat? That every understanding of wheat had to have its own dose of misunderstanding, of the tare seed, of the weeds. So that consequently, Jesus said, check my words on this. He says, let me tell you how it got translated first. And we've all heard this version of it. When the Son of Man returns, will he find the faithful? Or when he returns, will he find... Oh, how do they say it? They've got a way of saying it. But basically, it's real simple. When the Son of Man returns, will he find the faith? The faith that he left. And that is no. Basically, no. Nothing but a remnant. A very small remnant has kind of clutched onto his understandings this whole time. And I am quite ashamed to say that it took me I was over 50 years old. upper mid-50s. And I had been a confessing, born-again Christian for probably well over 30 years. And I still thought we lived on a round, spinning ball. Even though the Bible couldn't be any more clear to me that we're on a flat and level plane. We're covered with the firmament, the dome, and that His Word is more true every single day if I will just give up my stubborn ways, if I will try to give back all those teachings that I was given in my growing up as a Catholic, in Catholic school through the 8th grade, then Catholic church, then as a born-again Christian at 22 years old, and the Bible and a personal experience with Jesus. You know, I was taught all that, and I believed all that, and went along with it. But I guess I held on to the teachings from Rome, the teachings of control the person, dumb the person down, to not let the people reach their not full potential, not hardly any potential. We want them obedient and dumb and tithing, sending us their money. And so let's see. Let me take a break. Take a little drink here. So if any of you are fans of, I believe his name was John Carruthers, or the other guy just got a heck of a hairdo, but or your pastor. If you're familiar with a pastor, ask him to come and talk to me. Come and debate me. I love talking to pastors, and there's basically, like I've said before, there's two kinds of pastors, just as there are two kinds of parishioners. Pastor number one, the people are paying me to teach them what they want to hear. You know, they want to hear the good old-fashioned religion, the good old-time religion, the kind that we all know, no real debate. We just kind of want to hear, good news, kind of same thing every week, week after week, year after year. And basically, if Jesus comes and he taps you on the shoulder and he gives you a personal audience and he tells you something really weird and crazy, something really different that we never heard before, you better keep it to yourself or we're going to fire you. We're going to fire you because we didn't hire you to come and get new revelations. If you do give us a new revelation of any sort whatsoever, you are going to be fired. There's a pastor in the Flat Earth community, and he's called the pastor that got fired for truth. Because his parishioners, I think they found out that he was going to a Flat Earth convention, I think he was going to a Flat Earth convention. So they fired him. So, hey, way to go, Christians! That's really... So, I'm just saying, there are two different kinds. Then, there's the other kind of parishioner who says to their pastor, Pastor, I'm paying you money so that you can inquire of the Lord and find out what he has to say. Tell us, and you go and get in your prayer closet and you find out what he has to tell you. And then when the pastor comes and tells them, hey, the Lord just told me, hey, the earth is flat. They go, oh, wow, thank you. Thank you for revealing and letting the scales fall off of our eyes. Because in Luke 11:52, woe to you Pharisees, you've taken away the key to understanding, the key to knowledge. So if people just don't even have the key, you just can't understand. Like the flat earth. Until you know that the earth is not a round spinning ball, until you step outside of that lie that's been bathed upon us, until you step outside of it, you're locked in it. Same with this Zionist Christianism that we're all just locked into. If I've heard it, I mean, if I had a penny for every time I heard the Judeo-Christian ethic, I just can't believe how opposite those two can be. I mean, one of them crucified the other one. That's how different they were. One of them got so mad at the other, they crucified, so they have nothing in common. The Christians are into giving and loving others and doing unto others and treating your neighbor as you want yourself to be treated. Not the offspring of Judah. No, they're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. They're selfish. They only look after themselves. If you look at the what do they say? Like 300 people own probably 98% of the world's wealth. Well, what kind of people do you think those 300 are? Or the 10,000? The 10,000 that own the 99% of everything. Right? They're not Christians. They're not giving Christians. Anyway, they may call themselves whatever they want. Anybody can call themselves anything they want, but they're not walking in the steps of the master who owns that title, Christian. If you're going to be a Christian, you have to follow Christ. You have to do the things that Christ says to do. He says to help your neighbor as yourself. Don't charge usury. Don't charge interest. Esteem others as high as yourself. That is not the attitude of these offspring of Judah. And so why John Carruthers and Pounders and the Now You Seek people, or Now You See TV and the Zio Christians, it's like if you can give those people a free pass today, even while they're mocking Jesus. They're mocking the Jesus that you pretend to worship. I mean, you've got foulness and goodness coming out of your mouth at the same time. And I think the Bible warns us about that. We're not to have good springs and sewer coming out of our mouth at the same time. But when you start talking about, as a Christian, I honor the Talmud, and that's just mind-blowing. It's just you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. That is the hypocrisy that Jesus warned us against, that he wants us to stand away from. I want to remind everyone in my voice what it is that Jesus is waiting for to come back. Jesus lived, there's no doubt, and he said, I am coming back. So you ignore that at your own peril. He said, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back under my terms, my own terms. And let's see, my understanding is that one of these springtimes, we're going to be visited by two ancient men. They're actually they're men that walked with Jesus, the time of Jesus. They were eyewitnesses to Jesus, because Jesus made it clear in a number of places in the New Testament that he said some standing here will not die until the Son of Man returns in his glory. That meant that he was going to have at least some is two. At least two people were going to attain his words. And his words specifically were, if you follow my words, you'll never taste death. Period. He wasn't talking about spiritual death, he was talking about physical death. So the two guys took him at his word. Number one, John the Revelator. No mention or knowledge of his death. He was the youngster. He's the only one that would have looked at Jesus as a real father, as a physical father. He could have been 15 years old. So as a 15-year-old, you could look at a 30-year-old as your physical father. And so he just took him at his word. Okay, yeah, I believe it. And so he documented it, he wrote it down, the gospel and the revelation, and then he just kept on living. And he's still alive today, and he's going to come back as an eyewitness to us. It's the two witnesses of Revelation 11. The other eyewitness that's going to be with him, of the two, it's going to be the guy that was in the grave for 4 days. 4 days. He went past the river Styx. He went past the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. He did, and he was dead. They said he stunk by now. Jesus said, no, he's only sleeping. So he brought him back to life. I guarantee you, he's the other one. He's the other one that said, I'm scared straight that every word you have to say, Jesus, I believe it, and I'm gonna go by it. So John and Lazarus are going to come walking into Jerusalem one of these days probably in April. It's going to be about Nisan 10, right around in there, somewhere around Nisan 10. That basically, or no, it's actually a couple days before that. It's about Nisan 7, I think, is when the witnesses come. And what they herald, and then what happens just a few days later, is that the rapture happens. The rapture that is spoken of in Revelation 14, specifically. It's the 144,000 who Jesus came back to the earth and found were faithful to him. They're the 144,000 that had no lie was found in their mouths. They were not found with women. What kind of women? False religions. They weren't in bed with some, their ecclesiasticalness. They were pretty much just closet prayer warriors, I imagine, or street preachers. I don't know. I'd love to meet one. I'd be honored if one of them listens to my show and gives me a heads up someday. But that's our goal, folks, because it shows you right there that they are the ones that were redeemed from the face of the earth. That means the rapture. And so what we're all saving up for right now, what we're all trying to do is get into that company, to be one of those 144,000. He speaks of it extensively throughout the Old Testament. It was the feast of first fruits. The waving of the sheaf is the first fruits being taken up, being taken away. Because the first fruits, we pick it first and we harvest it. We harvest it first. Then comes the heat and the sun, and then the rest of the harvest comes later. So that's what we're waiting for right now, is the bride of Christ. The bride of Christ is the 144,000 that are being assembled together right now. The faithful in Jesus. So your calling, if you hear my voice, is to become one of the 144,000, to find out what it takes to be in that number, to be part of the harvest that's spoken of, to be part of, Jesus said that the people that are going to hear his words were going to yield, his words would yield a results, a fruit. And with some people, the results would be 30-fold. With some people, it would be 60-fold. And with some people, it will be 100-fold. Ladies and gentlemen, he wants you, the 30-fold is coming towards Christ, but can still turn away. The 60-fold has been tested and tried, and they've been found true that they are deserving of the immortal seed of Christ. And they'll never turn away. And then the 100-fold is the Christian who took the seed, it was planted, and it grew and grew and grew and grew all the way through the steps, all the way through the 99th, all the way to the 100th. And the 100 is the marking of the first fruits. the 144,000 that will be redeemed from the face of the earth. Then comes the tribulation, the 1,260 days, the 42 months, the time, a times, and a time again, which is all 1,260 days, 3.5 years. We have a 3.5 year tribulation, and the rapture happens, the first fruits rapture happens at the feast of Passover and first fruits in the springtime. When will the feast, when will the rapture of the harvest of the rest of the church happen, of millions and millions and millions of Christians? At the end of the 3.5 years, when Christ calls them, and that's the rapture, the harvest of the ripe fruit. And so the calling now, though, folks, don't be one of those. Be one of the hundredfold. Be one of the hundredfold right now. Get in your prayer closet with your Lord Jesus, the Father of your spirit. He doted on you and loved you as he was gestating you, and he loves you with all of his heart. So give him the love back. Give him some time. Go into his word and just get a red letter edition of the Bible and just read his words and take them to heart. And understand that he had the ability to say what he means and mean what he says. Thank you so much for listening. This is Russell DeBird. This has been episode number 8 of the Russell DeBird Show, and revealing the keys to understanding. This is the 19th of August, 2019. So we've got 2 19s going here today. And so I will be signing out. You've been listening to Flat Earth Radio Live on ferlive.com, The Ferret. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. And we stop it. Stop recording, yes. And stop recording.